So I found some interesting material on Dr. John Gottman, emotional bank account. It was it was like on Instagram, but it wasn't actually like Instagram's like accounts. It was on Dr. John Gottman information. Okay, so withdrawals and deposits. So withdrawals, turning against your partner's bid for attention. This could be saying something negative, getting defensive, being sarcastic, an argument with no repair. And then there's something called the four horsemen, using any of the four horsemen. These are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, or stonewalling. And finally, breaking trust by telling a lie or omitting important truths or not being there or breaking a promise or commitment. Then deposits, first turning toward your partner's bid for attention, then spending time together in connection, then smiling at your partner and remembering something about them, consider them. There's also something called the magic 6 hours. I'm going to read it all out. This is what I got from the internet. I don't know if it's exactly right. I haven't actually tried it or read it from like the original material. So, reunions. First of all, partings. Every day, 10 minutes a week. Is 2 minutes each workday learning one thing about the partner's daily plans before you each leave. Then reunions, every day a 6-second kiss, 20 minutes, a stress-reducing chat at the end of each workday, which is an hour, 40 minutes a week. Now, some people are Torah observant and they do not touch during the period of separation when the woman's going through a cycle of menstruation for a certain amount of days. There's also the idea of the time afterward, called clean days, that not all Jews, but many Orthodox Jews usually keep. So you have to be creative about this if you can't actually touch each other. And sometimes, even not for religious reasons, you can't kiss each other, right? Let's say someone has a really bad cold or something. Okay, then there's something called State of the Union. This is 1 hour a week, calm weekly check-ins to discuss what is going well and to solve problems together. Then there's something called the Appreciation Admiration. This is 5 minutes for 7 days. So that's 35 minutes a week, where you say out loud what you value about your partner. And so let's say you each get like 2.5 minutes. Then you have something called the Weekly Date, which is 2 hours a week, time that is uninterrupted to focus on each other. And Affection, which is 5 minutes at least a day, 35 minutes a week, which is not, it's not at least, this is what he says, the magic 6 hours. So this is non-sexual physical touch and warmth. I want to share now from Dr. Rachel. She says the right, quote unquote, right person will still trigger you. That was never the test. It's not about looking for someone who doesn't activate wounds, but looking for someone who stays while you heal. Being triggered is not proof that they're wrong for you. Closeness triggers everyone. The question is what happens next. The quote-unquote right relationship won't be the one with no triggers, but one where triggers don't end the connection. Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg teaches that dedication is when we give of ourselves over to the mission, devoted and clinging to the purpose, always in sight, focusing on the end, the purpose of the mission. Whilst giving ourselves over, we cling to the purpose of our mission. He says this is learned from the Blavitcher Rebbe. The Arizal teaches, as taught by Rav Eliyahu Jian, that there's something very interesting called spiritual movement. It isn't actually from point A to point B. It is spirituality, in essence, is beyond place or space, or even a change in location. So what does it mean? It actually means accumulation of form. For example, if my hand is here, and then my hand is here, it didn't physically move here. It's just this is true and this is true. So in spirituality, when it's said that something moves, it actually means that something got a new form. So let's say at one point someone was dishonest and now they're honest. What it's actually saying is that they have both forms. And in terms of time, since there's no physical movements, you can't say a light turned on and off. The light is both on and off. You can't say the heart is beating, so it's either contracted or expanded. It's both. You can't say even the mouth moving while I'm talking. It's in all the forms it's going to take. So everything is at a state of rest and stillness with forms, many, many forms. However, when you say before and after, like before he was dishonest and after he was honest, it means that cause and effect. So basically, something the form that is the cause is before, and the form that is after is point A to point B is the effect. So spirituality goes beyond time and space. And so time is really our perception of ordered linear emotions, whereas change occurs in a measured, quantified period. So that means that spiritually, more form is a change in location. I want to share from War Paint Journal on Instagram. She says, I think it's a she as far as I remember, healers need a date. So War Paint Journal, WARPAINT Journal. Sorry, not journals, journal on Instagram. Okay. One second, sorry. Leaders need a date protector, someone who keeps holding everyone together, deserves a person who notices when their hands are shaking. Overthinkers need a date reassuring people. A mind that keeps preparing for loss deserves a love that keeps showing up clearly. Givers need a date reciprocators. A person who remembers everyone should never have to remind someone how to care for them. Hyper-independent people need to date providers. Someone who learned to do everything alone deserves a person who makes receiving feel natural. People pleasers need to date emotionally mature people. A person who keeps shrinking their needs deserves someone who makes honesty feel safe in the room. Deep feelers need to date steady people. A heart that feels everything fully deserves a person who knows how to stay calm without becoming careless. Romantics need to date intentional lovers. Someone who believes in effort deserves a person who understands that love becomes real through repeated choices. Anxious minds need to date consistent people. A person who has spent years decoding moods deserves someone whose care doesn't need translation. Old souls need to date emotionally brave people. Someone who loves with depth deserves a person who can meet seriousness without making it feel excessive. Forgivers need to date accountable people. A person who can understand every side deserves someone who can still know how to do their part properly. Loyal people need to date people with character. Someone who stays by instinct deserves a person who doesn't use loyalty as extra room to disappoint them. Soft-hearted people need to date careful people. A person who feels deeply deserves someone who understands that access to them should be handled with respect. Self-aware people need to date honest people. Someone who already sees themselves clearly deserves a person who doesn't make truth feel like a punishment. The calm ones need to date observant people. A person who hides pain well deserves someone who can tell when their silence has started costing them something. The responsible ones need to date relieving people. Someone who carries every detail deserves a person who walks in and makes life feel less loaded. The guarded ones need to date patient people. A person who protects themselves carefully deserves someone who understands trust has to be earned in small repeated ways. The passionate ones need to date grounded people. Someone who loves with intensity deserves a person who can hold depth without turning it into disorder. The tired ones need to date gentle people. A person who has been strong for too long deserves someone who never confuses their capability with endless capacity. The misunderstood ones need to date curious people. Someone who has been judged too quickly deserves a person who asks better questions before forming conclusions. The rare ones need to date rare ones. A person who loves with memory, effort, honesty, and depth deserves someone who understands that receiving them is a privilege. And last but not least, 11 Stoic, which is ELEVEN STOIC on Instagram. Hobbies that'll make you dangerously confident. Mirror gazing. Gaze at yourself in the mirror. Fear inventory. You literally take an inventory of your fears. Voluntary discomfort. This is something you put yourself into discomfort on purpose. Public voice exposure. You speak out loud or read out loud. Some people even sing out loud in public. Something called a belief list, which is specifically to investigate the unconscious beliefs about yourself. And a couple of these self-inventory, like the fear inventory and the self-inquiry, like the fear inventory and the belief list. So that's all for today. I wish everybody all the best. Bye.